Hey, what's up you guys? Today we're going to be working on the Trailblazer, and we're going to be doing the oil change and replacing the spark plug wires and the spark plugs. So we're going with the AC Delco. I believe this is what it should have from factory, and AC Delco for the spark plug wires. And for the oil, we're doing 530 Mobile 1. So the Trailblazer just hit 100,000 miles, and also the Camaro just hit like 5,000 miles. So we decided to do the oil change on this. We did it recently when we did the oil pan swap. So since it hit 100,000, we're gonna do it now. We just have to get it up on some jack stands. So I'm gonna have to move it a little bit to the left and jack it up. So let me do that real quick, and then I'll put you guys back on so I can show you everything we have to remove. All right, so we got the car up on jack stand. Down here, we have to take off this plastic, 4 bolts right here, and then I think we have to remove this cross member because the drain plug is like right there, and the oil filter is also like right here somewhere. So let me get to removing this plastic, and then we'll check this out right now. Okay, so I removed the plastic right here, and I was seeing that once we remove the drain plug, all the oil is gonna go on the rack and pinion. So that's gonna make a mess. And then also the oil filter is like right here, so you can't even remove it. They have like that lefty kit where this is different and this is different, and it gives you clearance so you don't have to do all this. We might order that kit pretty soon because it's a lot of bolts you have to remove right now. We're gonna remove this bottom piece first, is these bolts, and then these 3 right here. And we're also gonna remove this one, this whole thing that goes across, and it has like 3 bolts, I think, in here somewhere. Basically remove everything and then just do another change. And while we are down here, this bolt, I've seen that other people have had issues with it being too long with the AC bracket kit for the C6 oil pan. So we're gonna remove it. This one fit perfect. This one's a little too long. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull it out, cut it to length, and then put it back in. So we're gonna do that once we're done with the oil, with draining the oil. So let me get to all these bolts. Oh, and by the way, these are size 13 or half, and I'm gonna see what these are. I think these should be like 13, and these are probably like 19 or 20s. One thing we forgot to mention is that this piece right here, we flipped it upside down when we did the Corvette oil pan, because or else it wouldn't even fit. Like it would hit the oil pan. And it's held in by 6 bolts, well actually 5 bolts on each side, 3 bolts up here. It's like 1, 2, and 3, and then these 2 that go through the bottom and has nuts on the top. These are the holes that we drilled out so we could flip it upside down. So there's also 2 right here and 3 up here. You just remove it. We were gonna cut it, that's why we drew these lines on here. We're gonna cut this to make enough clearance for this to come out, but we just decided not to, which actually is not a bad idea. I think if we cut it halfway, we would just have to reinforce this. Well, who knows, if we get the lefty kit, we won't have to do all that. Now we have to pull this out. Oh, we don't even have to pull it out, just leave it right there. And then these are like size 20. I tried 19s, but they didn't work. So I'm gonna get something to remove this. 4 more bolts, and then that's it. As is right now, the oil pan, as it is, the oil filter can come off, but we're actually gonna wait until we remove this so we could drain it and then get the oil filter off. And we got the 50mm bolt from right here. We removed it, so we're gonna cut that also. So these two bolts, the big ones that were down here, these are size 21. We removed all 4, and then that's what comes off, this big ass piece. So now we have access to this 15mm. So you see, it's still gonna drip all over the rack and pinion, but at least it's not gonna get all over that. So that's the reason we removed it. And the oil filter's gonna come off, so we're gonna get to removing this drain plug, and I'll try to record as much as I can from it spilling all over the place. And then once we put this back, we're gonna remove the oil filter. So there it goes. Let's see, we have this big ass oil thing, but I'm pretty sure it's still gonna make a mess. That's not that bad. I thought it was gonna get all over the place, but it's just right there. So the oil is pretty dirty. So it was time for an oil change. And also that bolt, we were always thinking about cutting that bolt, but we didn't want to just remove everything just to get to that bolt. So now is the perfect time to do that. So we're gonna let that drain. We're gonna go cut that bolt real quick. I'll put you guys back on. Once we remove the oil filter, we actually have to go to the parts store to pick up a new oil filter, and it has to be the Corvette one because the Trailblazer one doesn't fit on the Corvette oil pan. So make sure you get that if you get the Corvette oil pan. Okay, so the bolt is in right there, and it's all the way in. So this is what we cut off. Like it was like 3 threads, I think, 2 or 3 threads. And then we just cleaned it up with the flat wheel, and we made sure that the threads were clean, and then we just ran it in all the way, and we got it a little tight. So that's that. Now we put the drain plug back on, and we're gonna clean this with some brake cleaner. We just got back, and this is the oil filter that we picked up, the Mobile 1. The model number is M1-113A. So we're gonna throw it on there, and then we're gonna put all these things back on, which we're not gonna record because it's just putting the bolts back on, and that's it. But we're gonna put everything back on. But we are gonna show you once we lower the Trailblazer to get to the spark plug and spark plug wires. Alright, so we filled it up with oil. Now for the spark plugs and spark plug wires, on the driver's side, it seems like it's gonna be pretty easy. There's nothing really in the way. But on the passenger side, I think we're gonna have to remove the intake, this windshield wiper reservoir, and I don't know what else has to be moved. And they replaced one of the MSD wires with an original, I guess with one of the OEM cables. I don't know, I guess it was having problems or something. But we're gonna replace those MSDs with the AC Delcos because I don't know, we've heard that these MSDs aren't all that great. So right now we're gonna start off on this side, removing all the wires. Alright, so we're finishing up the last spark plug up here in the front. That one's one of the tightest ones on the driver's side. All the other ones, we finished them and we put the wires on. We're using one of the ratchets with the swivel head because I don't know, it's pretty stupid as everything is super tight in here. Well, not that tight, but it's just an awkward way to get to the spark plug because of these wires. The wiring harness that's in the way. So, but we got the spark plug in there. And I think all these spark plugs come pre-gapped, so we didn't really mess with it. Now, I'm gonna finish putting the wire on this side, and then we're gonna move over to the throttle, cleaning the throttle body, I believe, or removing the windshield wiper tank, reservoir tank. I don't know. We're gonna do one or the other. So, show you guys the spark plugs. So these are the 4 spark plugs. I don't know what order they came out in, but these are the 4 spark plugs from the driver's side. They all look pretty even. I don't see any difference in any of them, or I don't see much difference in any of them. So we replaced them with the exact same spark plug. That's the part number 41 162 AC Delco. We decided to remove the intake and get all this out of the way, and then we're going to clean the throttle body and then get to the spark plugs and spark plug wires. So it's just these flathead screws on this and on this, and then there's a 10mm that holds this, but that's if you have the K&N intake, and then there's some 10mm right here. There's one missing right there, and there's one here and one back here. So we're gonna get to all those, pull this out. We might be able to remove it with this plastic on here. Let me see real quick. I think we should be able to remove it. There's like a 13mm right here. I don't see any other bolt holding it, so let me start off with removing this 13mm, and then we'll see what else we have to remove. Okay, so we had to remove these 10mm to get that off. And there's a 13mm right here. So we're gonna get to this one, and then it should come out. Oh, and then you have to unplug these little motors, and this, I think, remove like these harness wires. Let me get to this real quick, and then I'll put you guys back on. Okay, for the throttle body, we're gonna have to remove this to get access to that. I think it's a 10mm nut that holds the throttle body to the studs, and we have to unplug this. And make sure you don't like mess with that little butterfly thing or whatever you call those, because from what I've heard is that these are like calibrated or something, because they're electric throttle bodies. I don't know if it's true or not, but we're not gonna mess with that. And then there's 4 10mm. Let me remove those real quick, and then I'll show you once the throttle body's off. Okay, so the top 2 are the studs, the bottom ones are bolts, and there's a lot of carbon buildup. I'm gonna try to reach in there as much as possible. And same with this. I don't know how well you guys can see it, but there's a lot. I'm gonna try to not touch the front too much, but try to clean all this up. And then we'll throw it back on. Okay, so this is as clean as we were able to get it. I kind of hit it with the little brush, like a painter's brush, and we got most of it off. But I mean, it's just to get it a little clean and for the air to flow a little smooth. So now we're gonna put it back on and throw the bolts and nuts back on. Let me do that real quick, and then we'll probably start with this spark plug and spark plug wire, since it's the one closest to us, and I think the easiest one. So put you guys back on in a bit. So the big difference on the passenger side is these AC lines. They're in the way, so we're gonna, I guess, have to work around that. And also the dipstick for the oil is also in the way. This is the Corvette one, so I don't know if that changes. Well, it does actually change the position of where it sits, and it's kind of in the way of the spark plug wire. And this is the one that I guess it was giving them problems. Whoever had this truck before, they just decided to put a stock one right here. I'm pretty sure it was hitting the headers, that's why they didn't put it back on. But it has the AC Delco. So we're going back to AC Delco, and we didn't know that these were gonna be red, so they kind of look like the MSDs. Oh well. So I just pulled off these two. I'm gonna get the socket on there and pull those out right now. And some of them, what I do is I like just drop the socket into the spark plug so I could find it, and then I come in with the ratchet. You just gotta find a way to it. So like this extension is gonna be too long, so I have to get a smaller one. But yeah, so let me put you guys back on after I replace those two and I put the wires on those. All right, so for this last one, it's way back here, so I ended up moving the radiator reservoir tank, and just to be able to reach back here, and they made it so complicated, but put the socket in there already. So now I just gotta get the ratchet and struggle to take that one out. So this one's in already. I just didn't put the wire in because I didn't know if I was gonna have to put my hand through here or whatever. So these two already have the wires and the spark plugs in. So now let me get back there with the ratchet and take that one out, then I'll put the wire on. All right, so I got the last spark plug in. Now I just gotta put the wire. It was a hassle. Look at my arm. It's a really tight spot, and it's like right here. I don't know if you can see my hand, but it's back here. So I just need to put those two wires and then put everything back on, and then we're done. So let me get to these two wires real quick, and then hopefully we start it up right now. All right, so we're putting the cover back on, and my bad, Pops is jamming in the back, so got the music all loud and shit. These are the spark plugs that we pulled. There's another one that fell down there, but I don't feel like pulling it out right now. Those are it. Even wear, I guess, on all of them. So that's cool. So now we just gotta do that 10mm bolt. Oh, and we're also gonna buy a new filter. We washed this not that long ago, so I think it's still cool. I don't think it's that bad, but we are gonna get a new one. I don't know what that is. Coolant or oil? But yeah, for the most part, I guess we're done with the tune-up. We got the oil in. We cleaned out the throttle body. We did the spark plug wires. Yeah, so just be prepared to either take all this off or jack it up. And I think that last one could be done from underneath. I just didn't feel like jacking up the car again and doing all that. If I would have known, I would have done it from underneath. But yeah, so 100,000 miles on the Trailblazer now. We're just doing oil changes all this week, so on all the vehicles, they're all hitting mileage and stuff. So make sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow us on Instagram at Yonke_OXC Films. I'll leave that in the description down below. Any questions, leave it in the comment section down below, and we'll catch you in the next one. Before we end the video, I forgot to show you guys. So it's at 112,000 miles. So we're gonna use the little gas gauge to get it to oil life. It's at 83%. then we're gonna hold this one to reset it. Oil life reset.